Hey art friends, today we're going to be drawing something really cool.
A dragon.
Alright, you got your marker.
Yes.
Alright, we hope you guys are going to follow along with us. You got something to draw with and some paper in front of you. You ready to start?
Yeah.
Now at the end of the lesson we're going to color our dragons and we're going to use yellow, orange, and red. He's going to be a fire dragon.
The fire dragon.
So let's move those off to the side. We need those at the end. And we're going to draw our dragon first.
Okay.
And up here in the top left corner, we're going to start with his head and we're going to use the whole paper. We're going to fill the paper with our dragon. First step, we're going to start with his eye. And we're going to draw a curve. That's the top of his eye. And then we're going to draw the bottom of the eye. And it's going to be another curve inside of that one. And if we go too fast, what can our friends do?
Pause the video.
Yes, you can always pause the video. Now we're going to draw the top of our dragon's head. So it's a little S line. That's going to start going over his eye and come down on his nose. And then right here, we're going to draw the front of our dragon's mouth. And I left a little gap, but you can connect it if you want. Now we're going to draw his mouth. And it's going to go up, back down, and then back up. It's like an S curve. Yes, and then we're going to come back the other way for the bottom of his mouth. Sweet. Now we're going to draw the bottom of his jaw. So another line. And then we're going to draw the very bottom of his jaw. Isn't that cool? We got his head already in there. Now let's draw his teeth. And we're going to draw zigzags going back into his mouth. And I'm going to draw teeth on the bottom also. Now we're going to draw his neck, and we're going to start right here at the bottom of his head. We're going to draw an S line, comes this way and then back, and it's going to start his chest right down here at the bottom. Nice. Now we're going to draw the top of his head and his neck, the other side of his neck. So we're going to start here, and we're going to follow that line we just drew.
Looks like it looks like that dinosaur. That's.
Oh yeah, like a brontosaurus.
Brontosaurus.
Kind of does. Nice. Good job. Now the neck looks really thin on both of our dragons, so let's make it thicker by drawing another line right next to it. This is going to be for his belly, or the design on his neck, which looks a lot like a snake. This could be a snake kind of a dragon.
Okay.
Yes, that looks really cool. Now let's add details to his head and coming down his neck. We're going to draw spikes on the top of his nose. And when I draw the spikes, I'm not going to draw them all the same. We're going to do zigzags, but some of the spikes are going to be really big and some of the spikes are going to be small. So we can draw small ones and then really big ones and some small ones and then mix them up so they don't all look the same. And they can be a little messy too if you want. Now when I go down his neck, I'm going to turn my paper so it's a little easier to draw the spikes coming down. Now at the top of his head, I'm going to draw even bigger spikes. Look at this. Maybe these are even horns. Like big, huge spikes coming out. Cool. Now over his eye, let's add more spikes. Going right over his eye, maybe for his eyebrow.
His eyebrow spikes.
His eyebrow has spikes. And then I'm going to draw more spikes coming down his jaw. And I'm also going to draw more spikes right here coming down his neck. And maybe even some spikes coming down his jaw. Look at that. That's really cool. Now let's add a nostril, and we can put a little 6 for his nostril. And let's add a tongue too. So right here coming out of his mouth, I'm going to draw a curve, a little J shape. And then on the bottom of his tongue, I'm going to draw another J shape coming around. And then we can connect the two lines with a V if we want to, or we could add more spikes. Maybe his tongue has
His tongue has
his
spikes.
tongue has spikes.
Everything that he is spikes.
All right, what should we draw next? The wings or the arms?
Let's do the arms.
Let's do the arms. You want to save the wings for last?
Yes.
Okay, let's draw. So this line, this is going to be the top of his arm, and we're going to draw him with 2 arms and no legs.
Okay.
So he's half snake, half dragon.
Okay.
So we got a line coming down, and then we're going to draw another line coming out this way. So this is where his elbow is going to be. And then we're going to draw the back part of his arm. And then it's going to bend here. We're going to come up and draw up to his wrist. And then we could draw his claws. So I'm going to draw a C shape. And then we're going to draw another curve right here. And then another curve up close. Those are going to be for his fingers. And then we can connect them so that they look like claws. Now that he's 3D, so we need to draw the other arm. We're going to draw a bent line coming up. This is his elbow. And then draw the other part of his arm coming down and then bending up. Now I'm going to draw this hand a little different. We're going to draw an upside down C, a rainbow line. And then we're going to draw another one right here, curve. And then one last one coming back. And then we can connect these. So I'm going to draw the first finger like that. Then the next finger. And then one last finger right here at the bottom. Connect it in. Oh yeah, that looks scary. Then we could draw the curves right here on his fingers for the fingernails. Okay, now his arms need spikes too, right?
Yes.
So right here, I'm going to draw small spikes coming out the back, but then as I get to the rest of his arm, I'm going to draw bigger spikes coming up the back of his arm. And I'll do that same thing on his other arm. And maybe even, I'm going to add even another row of spikes on top of that. Now we've drawn a lot of spikes, but you guys at home could draw different details on your dragon if you wanted to. Now, let's draw the wings.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to start right here, right at the top of his neck, and we're going to draw a curve that comes up. Sweet. Now we're going to draw spikes right here where his wing bends. And then we're going to draw the rest of his wing coming way over here to the corner of the paper. Good job. Now let's draw the other side of his wing. So we're going to start here on the corner and we're going to come down, and as we get closer to the bend, his elbow, we can get further away. See how it gets thicker right here? And it's thin up here. Now let's finish the rest of his wing coming down and into his body. Now we're going to draw the rest of the wing. And so we're going to draw these, they're spikes, I guess, kind of. They're like spines coming out. And we're going to draw this, we're going to draw them the same way that we drew the end of this wing, where we come back and add a thickness. Then we're going to turn our paper and draw another one. Good. Now we're going to draw one more. Yes. Now the next one we're going to draw down here. So these three we drew right next to each other. This one's going to come down, and it's going to be shorter than the other ones. Nice. Now we're going to come down a little further, and we'll draw another one. And this one's going to be even shorter than that last one we drew. Let's do one more, shorter, and then one last one, even shorter. Cool. Now we need to connect these with a curve. So watch this. We're going to curve down and then back out and connect. This looks a lot like a bat wing. Then we're going to do the next one. Connect it and go through the whole wing and connect each of these spikes or spines. Good job, man. That looks awesome. He only has one wing now.
Yeah.
He needs a second one. So let's draw that second one right behind the first wing we drew. And it's also going to go behind his neck. So we connected it to his neck. We're going to imagine it coming up right here at his neck and then bending. So we're going to bend back. What did we do next on this wing?
Go back.
Yes, we start up here, go back, and add a thickness to it. And then we'll come down here and draw the rest of it. Cool. Now let's add those little spines. So we're going to draw another one right below it. And then the next one is going to go behind the wing. So we're going to stop right there and then come back. Good. Now there's one more, right?
Yeah.
And we drew 3 that were kind of coming out of the same spot. And then we're going to go down and draw the next one. And then down again. And then we don't really have room for another one unless you do. You can add a little one. We did it. Now we need to connect each of these. And I just have room to connect 2. Now he has 2 wings. This one's in front of that one. It looks 3D, right?
Yeah.
Because of overlapping.
Yes.
All right, let's draw the rest of his body. So this line, so we have 2 lines for his neck coming down. We're going to have those 2 lines come back underneath his arm and connect into our wing. So there's one line. There's another line. Look at that. See how they look like they continue through his arm? Now this part of his body is going to curl up behind his wing, come down and do a loop, and then back up the paper, okay?
A roller coaster.
Yeah, it'll look like a roller coaster. And if you want to make that a little simpler or a little easier, you can just have the belly or the tail come down and back up. You don't have to do the loop. So here we go. We're going to draw the first loop. We're going to come out right here, come around, do the loop, and then back like that. Cool, good job. Okay, now we're going to draw the other part of his body, and if you run out of room, you can just imagine it going off the page and coming back. So we're going to start here, come around, oh, and I ran out of room, and we'll imagine it going off the page, coming back, and looping back up. Good, now we have this inside line, right? So we're going to draw the inside line coming around. Coming back up. Good. Oh no, that's cool. I like that. And then it tapers off and maybe it's behind. All right, now let's draw his tail coming right here, coming down and then back up. So we're going to draw the bottom of his tail coming down and up. Good. And then we're going to draw the top of his tail, and as we get to the end of his tail, we're going to get closer until we come to a point right at the end. Now again, if this part was too tricky, you could just have his tail come down and up instead of doing this loop. Now I'm going to draw that one last line right here, and it's going to do what you did. Come in and taper in, oops, taper in right at the bottom and finish.
What would I do?
This part right here. So this part, so this belly line that comes down and it tapers in, I did that over here.
Oh.
Now we're going to draw the scales going down his belly.
Okay.
And we're going to draw them like a ladder. So we need to turn, or like a roller coaster track.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, remember how you said it looked like a roller coaster?
Yes.
We're going to bend these lines as we go around the turns. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Now what are we missing on his tail?
The spikes.
Yes, we need spikes. So we're going to start right here. And remember to change them. Make them some small, some big. Go all the way around. I'm going to come out over here. And then on the end of his tail, I'm going to get smaller and smaller until you can't see him. I even added spikes on his hands. I couldn't resist. We finished him, man. Did you have fun?
Yes.
Now we need a color, and we're going to fast forward. And at the very end, we're going to add shading.
Okay.
You ready to fast forward?
Yeah.
Let's do it right now. Okay, we got our dragons all colored, except you need to color his tongue.
You told me to do that, and I was like, I'm coloring all this stuff.
There you go.
And done.
Done. Good job. Give it 5. Now, we need to, you can blow off all those little shavings. There you go. Good job. Now we're going to use our red, and we're going to add shading to all the different parts of our dragon. Now, we're not going to shade his wing yet, okay? We're going to save that in a sec. But we're going to come back here, and I'm going to shade the bottom of each of the spikes. Okay, so I'm going to shade the bottom of the spikes, and then the next row up, so these big spikes up here, I'm going to shade the bottom of those spikes. See how that makes them look like they're behind the other ones? Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to also shade behind the spikes on his neck. I'm going to shade the back of his neck a little. Now I'm also going to add a little shading on his face too. And the top of his head, right here. I'm also going to shade inside of his tongue. So inside of his mouth. Start really dark up inside his mouth and then fade out towards the end of his tongue. Now on his neck, I'm going to shade. So we shaded right here on the top of his neck. And I'm going to switch to the back of his neck. Start dark on the back of his neck. And then blend out to the left. We're going to start really dark and get lighter as we go across his body. Okay, now on his arms, I'm going to shade the bottom part of his arm and then blend up to the top. Now on his tail, we're going to shade the bottom. Right here is going to be dark and then blend up to the top. And I'm going to do the same thing on this tail. On this part of his tail, I'm going to shade really dark on the bottom side, the outside, and then get lighter as I move towards the center or up. And then I'm going to shade this part of his tail. The bottom is going to be dark, and then as it goes across to the top, it's going to get lighter. And that makes his tail and his body look round. Now we're going to shade his wing, and the bottom part is going to be dark, and then fade out towards the top. Now we're going to switch back to our orange, and we're going to use this to smooth out the red pencil marks.
Okay.
Next, we're going to use the orange to shade the yellow parts of our dragon.
Okay.
So under his neck, or under his head, we're going to press really hard, and then we're going to fade out towards the bottom. See how it's adding that little bit of shading? I'm going to do the same under his armpit.
Armpits.
And then I'm also going to shade his wings. So right here inside of this V part, start dark and then fade out like that. And then I'm also going to add a shadow on the top part of the web. This is like webbing, like on a duck's foot. Now we're going to repeat those same steps on each of the sections of his wing.
Okay.
Now one last thing, we're going to switch to our red, and we're going to add a darker shadow right under his neck, so right on that orange that we just colored in. And we're also going to do a little layer on each of those sections of his wing. So start dark, and you don't need to add a lot, just right here in the corner. Dude, your dragon looks amazing. Did you have fun?
Yes.
It's okay that our dragons look a little different, right?
Yeah.
Because the most important thing is
To have fun.
yes, to have fun. And I want to challenge you guys at home to change your dragon so he doesn't look exactly like ours, right?
Yes.
You could color your dragon Blue. It could be an ice dragon.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. One of the last things that we usually like doing at the end of our drawing is to go around our drawing with a thicker line, and it really makes our dragon pop off the page. And we hope you had a lot of fun following along with us and drawing your own dragons. Remember, if we ever went too fast, you can always
Pause the video.
Yes, you can always pause the video. See you later, our friends. Goodbye.
Bye.